Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me again. It's TeaRon. That's TEARON, period. And you are here for another episode of the Ubiquitous Blacks podcast. And this time, we're going to take a journey by way of San Francisco. We're going to hop over, it's not even a pond, it's a whole damn ocean, to South Africa, where I want you all to meet my new homie here, Mr. Anwar Bey. Anwar, if you could, introduce yourself to the people. Let them know who you are, where you're from, what you do, all those things.
Wait, with all them voice fluctuations, where did you go?
Oh, I'm everywhere. Trust me.
If you could. Peace. Yo, what's up, y'all? I'm Anwar Bey. You know what I mean? Video game director, writer, director, imagination designer out here in these streets making it pop. Currently in the Johannesburg, South Africa streets making it pop. Coming out of California live and direct. About to be in New York making it pop. You know what I mean? Yeah. And don't get it twisted. I need you to know, Northern Hemisphere, that is called out here in South Africa, Johannesburg. It's not all suns and sunlight. I mean, the sun is out, but it's so cold. It's 30 degrees. It's crazy.
In our minds, speaking for people in the U.S., Africa don't have no cold in our minds.
See, I need y'all to come on.
Foolishness, right? I know better, but people don't.
Well, y'all gonna learn today. All of y'all that's watching, I'm on the continent. It's winter down here in the South, but soon it's about to be Spike Lee land in Brooklyn. I can't wait.
So, if you could, because you named off several things that you do and that you're capable of, but I want to know one thing about you that many people may not know. Something that you're willing to share, of course. Okay. Give us just one random fact about yourself off the top of your head.
Okay, random fact. Random fact. What do I act like? Okay, random fact. Listen, I've been writing a book for the past 10 years. 10 years. Just completed.
You just completed it 10 years later.
Yep, it's from conception, it's been 10 years.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It is wild. Why do you think it took so long?
Because this shit is not. You gotta live life to create, and also like the standard, that I execute is wildly cinematic. And so it's not just writing a book, it's making cinematic visuals to accompany the storytelling. It's a whole experience. And having experienced it for 10 years, I know that there wasn't no time wasted. That this is just how long it took.
That's actually wonderful, because a lot of people don't feel that, especially when it's even times when it's like a labor of love, a lot of people don't feel, when they look back, that they feel like they used all that time wisely. So if you're saying that, then that's a rarity.
I'm in the pocket. I've been in the pocket 10 years in that. Can we cuss on this podcast? How does this work?
Yeah.
No, I be cussing and stuff. Like, my mom's from South Central. My dad's from Camden. Like, it's a lot of texture there, and the words ascend. And so I hope that the listeners don't mind, the way that I cuss. It's not like vulgar. It's like eccentric.
It's flavoring. It's flavorings. It's right. It's just adding a little, Sometimes sometimes the right word is, to be like, mother. That's just the right word. It's not invalid.
We're gonna let you slide on that one, but I'm looking at you. So the next time something pops up, I'm gonna talk to you about it, sir.
What?
No.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, let's talk. Let's just get into a bit of your decision to hop over to South Africa. How long have you been there in general?
I first came to South Africa May 2016, and so that's an 8-year experience since that I've been traveling here, and I've come for at least 3 months every year since I arrived.
Really?
And I've been living here full time since November 2021. Yep.
So let me see. Let me do the math. It's like $2,000 a lick. I'm trying to tally up the flight totals, bro. Like, but no, seriously. So what? I'm just saying, like, woo, wee.
Are you talking about the economy necessary to keep it moving?
No, well, I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, he got money, right? That's my mind.
Yeah.
But what prompted? Why South Africa? Why? It's because 2016 was a while ago, and what do you remember? What kicked it off? Like, what made you say, I want to go there?
100%. Do I remember? Cut it out. I remember everything. The way he said, "Do you remember?" Like, there's no way I'm gonna be like.
Some people, it's like vague. It's like, I think it was, but
no,
do you remember the exact thing? Was it a woman?
Exactly what's going on. For me, it's like boom, yeah. You know what I mean? To the economic access, like if you work hard to bring your dreams to fruition, and you align them with economic access, then yeah, you can fly to Africa as much as you want to. I came out here originally because my homegirl Zim, she's Nigerian. She's got a Nigerian last name. I'm not in Nigeria, and so I'm not even going to try to say it, but it starts with a U, I believe. She's running a company called Travel Noir. Boom. So Travel Noir was they just released their first product line, and that was like international travel groups. I was like, Zim. She was like, "Are you gonna participate?" I was like, "Of course, sis. I'm on it." She was just like, "Cool. Where are you going?" I was like, "Bahia, Brazil. Of course, I'm trying to go see what the Brazilians is up to." She said, "No, bro." I was like, "Why are you talking to me like this? I choose where I'm going." And she's like, "Nah, you got to go to South Africa." And I'm like, "Why do I want to go to South Africa?" And she's like, "Trust me, that's where your people's is at." And then I was like, "All right, Zen, let's see what it do." And then boom, came out here with a travel group, and then I fell in love with the space.
I would have been in Brazil this whole time.
Lord, I would have been too. It would have been an entirely different podcast. You know what I mean? Now I'm a little older, so I don't really let people like sway my choices anymore.
Yeah.
But it's South Africa.
Yeah. So since you've been there, because for a while it was you going back and forth, 3-month stints, right? Since you've been there, is this the longest that you've been consecutively, like just month after month?
100%. Because I came out in November 2021, and basically the way this works is I'm on a tourist visa. You know what I mean? I'm out here working on my project. That's why I came here. But every 3 months, every 90 days, I have to travel out for at least, I give it about 2 weeks. And so I go to places like Zanzibar, Ethiopia, Kenya, and America. You know what I mean? And so that means that I'm here 9 months. I've been here 9 months every year since I moved here.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
What you jealous about, bro?
Because you're just naming off these places and stuff. But
I'm a traveler, bro. I'm a full-time investor.
I want to discuss before we go back to the U.S. and we talk about your upbringing and what makes you you. I want to stay over here in Africa where we are, and I want to. I had a very unique, not unique, but a very distinct. Let me put it that way. First time in Africa experience, and it's totally different for everyone based on number one, which country you're going to, right?
Facts. Yep.
Number two, the company that you keep or that you acquire along the way.
Hey.
A lot of these things can affect you both positively and negatively. I won't go too far into my own today, but what was your first time in Africa experience? And like, was it a thing where you were aware of, or were you even like consciously like caring about, you know how Black Americans, we often want to trace our roots to something. And a lot of times that leads people to seek out, you know, trying to go to Africa, visit for the first time, reconnect, et cetera, et cetera. Was that at the front of your mind when you originally went to Africa? And what was your first experience like just on the soil the first few weeks?
So reconnecting, connecting was definitely a thing. You know what I mean? Like by the time I made it out here to South Africa, I have been to many places in Asia. I've been to a few places in South America. I've been to Europe a couple of times, even to the Middle East, you know, a couple of times. And so Africa was almost like the last continent on the list, you know, outside of like Antarctica. And I had even been to Australia.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so by the time I came out here, like I knew that I was going to a place that was a whole different world because that it all is, you know, we are Americans.
Yeah.
And so America is its own place. And that's what we are. We are Americans. Like, you know what I mean? Sure, African American by like ancestry, but if that's the case, then we're all African American because, you know, the names come from Africa. And so we're American. That's what we are. And so coming out here, I just wanted to be surrounded by people of color. I just wanted to like and engulf my entire existence in Black people, people of color, BIPOC people.
Yeah.
And I loved that. But, you know, to answer your question, when I arrived, it was Cape Town that the trip was oriented to. And so the first like 2 weeks were in Cape Town, and then I came to Josie. Josie was when I became fulfilled with that energy. Cape Town didn't fulfill me. Cape Town felt like a bad version of like Orange County or something, but like in disconnection to the Mexican people, you know what I mean? Like Orange County is at least in connection to the Mexican people. Like you see Mexican people, you know, doing it economically just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And Asian people too, versus you're in Cape Town and it's just all European facing, accessing culture. And I was like, this is not the Africa that I imagined. Then I came to Josie and I was like,
oh,
there we go.
I had a similar thing where I was like, that's honestly why I have not yet been to South Africa, because I was always just telling myself, I was like, if I'm going to go to Africa, I don't want to be so like US adjacent in like the experiences and stuff. Like if I'm going all this way, I ain't trying to be around y'all.
Nope.
You know, that's truly been like the reason that I didn't prioritize South Africa. And that messed up my whole like
What? What did it mess up?
well, I just think without going into it, I think that because of my first African countries were West Africa, right?
Word up.
And I'll just say that I don't feel like I've ever experienced Africa for real and had been there for a while.
Sense. You got to go to, at this point in my limited travels, East Africa is the most like satisfying on that kind of like level that we're talking about.
Yeah. So I just was like, you know, maybe I should have visited South first or somewhere.
Nah, man, you did it right, bro. But West Africa, yeah, when I was out there in Ghana, I was like, why do they keep saying dollars? Why do they keep talking to me about dollars? I didn't like that. I was like, we're not in the West. Please stop talking to me about dollars. Like, no. That's not correct. I will not be spending any dollars with you. I don't want to hear that cost in dollars. This is not America. Let's talk about these Ghanaian.
I would never forget. I went to the barbershop. Okay. I was in a crowd and I went to the barbershop and they had a poster and it says, you know, prices for whatever you're going to get. And then it says Obroni price.
Oh, yep.
I said, no. So
what does Obroni mean?
It means like foreigner, white man, white person, right? But let's just say when I left, I was paying the regular price. You see. Because
Yeah, yeah.
you're not finna,
I don't like it.
no. So for that reason, I had, some mixed experience. I do think that my experiences, if I go to South Africa, will be vastly different. Just
You're gonna enjoy yourself.
in that way. But leaving South Africa, let's go back to the US and back in time to when you were running around, boogers in your nose.
That's now.
But actually, any parent who is going to name their kid Anwar is not actually going to let him run around with boogers in his nose. So to me, you probably were a kid who more so ran around with a greasy face because your mama was, making sure that you were shining before you left the house. That's just my idea. But tell me, what was it like growing up?
Hilarious.
You know what I'm talking about, too.
I feel you, bruv. I feel you, my brother. Listen, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, I was born in Camden, New Jersey. We lived there for 6 months. Then we moved to California, where my mom was from.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a duplex next door to my grandparents' house till I was about 3.5 years old. Then we moved where I spent the rest of my childhood and upbringing, which is Colton, California. You ever heard of Colton, California?
No.
So Colton, California is a small, dusty desert town about an hour east of LA.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's where I grew up at. I grew up with a mostly majority Mexican population. I grew up as a 3% population Black. And that was my life, kicking it with the Mexicans. And in my diverse friendship group, which consisted of also Vietnamese folks, Filipino folks, some Anglos, and that was the experience.
Goodness, Anglos.
I call people by their cultures because I live in South Africa. So I have friends that are Zulu. We call the Mexicans Mexicans, and the Anglos are Anglo-Saxons because they come from the Anglo-Saxon region of Europe. And so that's what they get called there because that's what they are. Like, they're Anglos.
So do you have any siblings? Did you grow up only child? What was that like?
No, I got siblings. I got a younger sister. She's about 4 years younger than me. She's currently a lawyer, IP lawyer, killing the game in LA right now. And then I got a brother. He's like 7 years younger than me, and he's currently in Springfield, aka Eugene, Oregon, chefing. He's serious with the.
Everybody's spread out. I like that.
Yeah,
like people are able to adventure and do so, chasing some things that they enjoy. A lot of times you'll meet people who don't even get out of their hometown, and it's quite unfortunate, but it's very common. And one thing that I try to do with having these conversations is to instill just a bug of curiosity for people to like explore outside of their, immediate vicinity, right? What do you think was the thing that was instilled in you, whether it be at a young age, to prompt you to start this creative journey? Because if you were writing, and creating this world for 10 years, which we'll get into in a second, then you had to have been writing before, or you had to, I'm assuming that you read a lot as a youth, no?
I read. I was deep in my adventure books, action adventure stuff, fantasy stuff, deep in it. I wouldn't call it obsessive reading. It was just, casual visitation of these worlds. I think with a name like Anwar, in a Mexican community, being a 3% population individual, I think that I've been a foreigner for a long time. And foreigners are misunderstood. Foreigners are accosted and aggressed. Foreigners are asked certain questions, and foreigners are assigned certain generalities.
Yeah.
And so I've been navigating that my entire existence. And so I'm remarkably comfortable with it. I've learned how to embody confidence and uniqueness, whether it's being recognized or not. Like, nah, I'm different, nigga. Like, it is what it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that's just always been something I've been familiar with, existing in spaces that don't understand me or are enamored by my presence, and just navigating energy. You know, that's how I've learned the language of the world, right? Which is not an actual language like that comes from, you know, acronyms and vowels and specific cultures, but it's facial expressions, it's warmth, it's genuine, it's love, it's interest, it's fascination, it's patience, it's are they actually hearing me and seeing me, stuff like that. Like, that's the
Yeah.
language of, and I think at this point in my life, I understand it very well.
Yeah. That's very
I
true.
go.
Everyone, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I go to countries where English is not spoken and I exist powerfully. It's fine.
Absolutely. And honestly, most of the countries do know it. They don't
Yeah.
they don't speak it
Yeah.
primarily, but they do know it. So fast forward a little bit from your upbringing. At what point do you take a liking to this? What were you doing with video games exactly? Were you coding? What was happening there, and how did you get there? You a nerd, right?
I'm a nerd. Please. Yo, at this point, you know what I mean? Let me set the stage one time before I jump into this answer.
Okay.
Guys, I'm a grown man. I'm 40 years old. 4D.
Let me just say
40.
this. Let me just say this. You have a wonderful hairline at 40. That's a blessing.
We out here.
That's a blessing.
Hey,
go ahead.
Thank God. So step one, I'm 40. Step two, wait, what was the original question?
I was just asking how you got into,
video games.
Yeah, and being a nerd.
Cool. Where was I going with this? Oh, right, the nerd part. So yeah, I'm 40, and then, like, I love art. I love beautiful things, and so I surround myself with beautiful things. You know what I mean? Artwork, cool fashion ability, interior design. I go to the beautiful places to spend my time, whether that's working, writing. I'm addicted to beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like because of that, people think I'm someone that I'm not. They don't, like, even people that know me don't realize that I'm a high quality nerd. 100%. I read comic books. I listen to all kinds of quirky, unique, hip hop, instrumentals. You know what I mean? Like, I'm well read and well written. I'm very intellectual individual. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? I just like beautiful things, and so people be saying stuff like, "Oh, you're giving Brent Fires, you're giving Masejo, aka Masego," and I'm like, "That's cool. I appreciate the compliments, right? Because that's flattering and stuff. But, like, I'm not them. You know what I mean?" And so when it comes to video games, boom, I was playing video games heavy from the moment I came out the womb. I was on Atari, getting it with the joystick, all the way through Nintendo and so on. And then post high school, moms was like, "What are you gonna do with your life?" Dad was like, "What are you gonna do with your life?" And I was like, "I'm gonna be an astronaut." And Dad was like, "You can't do that." And then mom was like, he was like, "You have asthma, you can't do that." Next.
Oh,
well, I don't know. And then mom was like, "You should go into nursing." I was like, "Bet, I can do that." So then I got my CNA, and then I worked in a couple of convalescent homes and mental institutions, and I was like, "This is not it for me." Mm-hmm. And then one day my homeboy hit me up and he was like, "Yo, there's this school where you could learn how to develop video games." And then I was like, "Ding! That's my shit." Because all I did was play video games. So I was like, I never recognized until that moment that people had careers making video games. I didn't even know. And then when he said it, immediately I was like, that's my shit. And then that's just been my shit the whole time.
And so it was from there that I would assume that your spark for, like, world building and coming up with these stories and concepts was the the flame was lit even more. Just adding lighter fluid to it because you already had the flame going, right? So I'm just assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that pushed it over. So tell us about the story, the world that you created, and what you intend for it to be, and what you expect out of it.
I love talking about this work that I've been doing. So I've been developing this whole story world. Some people call it story world. Some people call it entertainment platform. Some people call it universe. I just call it all of the things. It's called PLASMAworlds. And essentially what PLASMAworlds is it's a multi-layered story world written and directed and put together to inspire more creation on more entertainment platforms. So we're talking full business perspective right now. We're not talking about what it is or what it's about. We're just talking about what it's designed first and foremost to be from the ground up. Is this designed to be an inspiring, super fun, interesting visual story that is meant to inspire people to want more and to see it being applicable to more things than just the book that it is. You're supposed to read the book and see, because it's a visual story. So it's like an illustrated storybook. And so like a children's book, you see the visuals coupled with the writing, and then you're like, oh, this is so cinematic, the way it's reading and the way it's looking. This should be a movie. This should be a video game. This should be a toy line. Like you're supposed to think that was designed to do that, and it does that. What it is it's a whole universe created around BIPOC people, Black people, people of color, originating from the continent of Africa, but also existing in the diasporic sense, which is the people that have traveled by one way or another over the generations to other places in the world. But it's written for us and it's by us. So it's written to empower us, to show us like fun, amazing storytelling and visual like continuity that is right on the same level, if not higher, but with humility on the same level as Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Marvel Comics type.
Call it out. Absolutely.
And and it's so dope, dude. And I can really get into how dope it is because I just completed the final draft, aka the final edit, aka the storybook is written and complete last week.
Don't you go back and touch nothing. It's been 10 years. What's in there is in there. Don't you go and edit a period. You understand?
I'm not. I don't ever want to touch it again.
In fact,
that shit is a relic.
In fact, I want it to be a thing where I don't know if you do this, but when I was writing and telling these stories and doing things, once I was done with the thing, and then you set up signing or you do a reading and you promote it any way you can, et cetera, et cetera. By that time, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm like, okay, what's next? And what you have to realize is that it's new to everyone else. Yep. So it's going to be a lot for you to have been at it for so long. And then now you're in the stages where you're ready to start like letting the child go out on his own a bit. And you're going to have to rehash a lot of the things from all those years.
No, I'm with that, dude. Like, dude, this is dream work, bro. Like, this is like, I've dreamed of this moment of like having completed the writing, of having it in book form, which is coming very soon. Like, I've dreamed of this for so long that I'm completely blown away, like as if I'm someone that's seeing it for the first time. Like that, like I exist in both spaces as the creator who's developed this over 10 years and the person that's experiencing it as a new. That's how I know that it's so dope.
That's good. That's good. That's ideal, actually. Like to have the constant freshness. It's like a nice shower after a long hot day.
All of
refreshing. That's what's up.
Fire. And I think the visual, the visual like dynamic of it, I think also like keeps it thrusted as a new, because it's like it's not just a book of written words. It's a visual book as well. Like it also exists as a full story without the words. You can just look at all the pictures and be like, you know exactly what's going on, and you're like, yo, these images are amazing. Then you add the writing to it, and for the people that want to read, they can read, but then the people that don't want to read can just look. And so it's an all age experience. I'm on them.
And I mean, it's a smart move, honestly, because, you know, a lot of people are very visual and very quick these days. And you don't want to like discount that or, you know, not credit it, because it's a fact. It's just a thing. People's attention spans aren't what they used to be. And having the visual aspects or having these other components be able to come in and assist with adding to the story is honestly a great foresight. And so I commend you for that, honestly, because it definitely makes sense though with everything that you started out doing, it developing in this way, and then the intention behind it seems to be landing.
You know, I developed this work for the world, like the entire world, right? And that's the reason why it's a visual storybook, because I developed it to be the most accessible product possible, right? And you know, from my travels, I recognized that not everybody has a video game system. Like most people in the world don't. Like people in Africa and in Asia, like Thailand, like South Africa, like Kenya, it's not common to have a video game system in the household.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how am I going to tell this story to people that don't play video games? And it's like, boom, visual book. You know what I mean? Like, so now everyone can pick it up and experience it. And the story is designed for us. It's designed to inspire us. It's designed to make us smile, because we're seeing ourselves depicted so purposefully and beautifully and doing crazy dope in the future. It's dope. It's exciting times.
I love how into it you are. And honestly, you know what I mean? Like the fact that there is a light to you when you're talking about it is, I think that's coming through. I think that'll be felt. If you could, I don't know how far you can go into, you know, the specifics, of course, but is there a main character? And if so, can you tell us about them, like their name, or what is intriguing about them, or what we expect them to get into? Can you get into any of that?
Absolutely, 100%. So the name of the book is called Wooldu. You know what I'm saying? Like the name of the book is called Wooldu. Like the world is PLASMAworlds. The book is Wooldu. It's a story of Wooldu. And so Wooldu is this Ethiopian space captain, like 50 years old, and he is lost on an alien planet trying to survive. Ravenous world, dangerous world, trying to take him out at every moment.
Is the planet called Earth? Wow.
The planet is called Quansetta.
Okay. It seems I can relate.
I mean, it definitely comes from Earth. You know, like the story comes from Earth. You know what I mean? But it's like a multi-layered story. You know, it's not a singular story. It's not just about the space captain. It's also about his wife and daughter who are back on Earth in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and they realize that he's dead. But then
first of all, hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm not. This is my ADD doing this.
Go ahead.
Don't think you just gonna throw in
what it is.
The pronunciation. Run that for us again, please. Just
which one?
Come on. Give us
Addis Ababa. Ethiopia. Yo, that's the capital of Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. It's Lego. That's amazing, right?
It's just that you don't hear people just run it like that. And it's so funny to me because my Ethiopian friends, you'll hear them saying it, but it's just not how it comes through. So as you're just running through and casually telling this story, this guy. Go ahead.
Yeah. This story is gonna take you places. So he's got a wife named Asina Wuldu, and he's got a daughter named Salam Wuldu. So when he goes missing, Salam is like 5 years old or something. And the wife and the daughter, they think dad is dead, and then they realize dad is alive. And so then instantly and automatically, they dedicate their entire lives to creating the possibility of finding and saving him. And so this story is also about limitless possibility, because that's what it takes under these dire circumstances. Captain Wuldu has to believe in limitless possibility for him to fight with every ounce of strength at every moment to create the infinite possibility to get back to his wife and daughter. He recognizes that he's crash landed on an alien world. No one's coming. So he can give up given those quote unquote facts, or he can be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going in every moment to survive, to create some possibility that I don't have seemingly any connection to, but that I believe is possible if I don't give up. And then his wife and daughter are like, dad's gone. We don't know where he is, but we know that he's alive. And so we are going to create the limitless possibility to find and save him by any means possible. And so it's these types of like programming activations within the story that challenged me to write it, but also to like implant in the minds of the reader, like how he gonna make it out and how they gonna find him. And then I enter the space of infinite possibility, and I'm like, all right, so what's the practical sense that they can start to step into on a step-by-step level to try to save dad? Well, mom and daughter need money. They need access to high-level income. So the mom goes into entrepreneurship hard too. You know what I mean? Because she knows that she needs to create the possibility of amassing some type of high-level economic stimulus to afford spaceships, space school. You know what I mean? Because we're in the future. Right. And the daughter has to activate, okay, she's going to become a space captain like her dad. She was already inspired, but now she has a goal where it's like, I'm becoming a space captain to create the possibility of saving my father. And so together they work through entrepreneurship and becoming a space captain to acquire the access to economy needed, the wealth, the riches, to be able to purchase and hire and learn and create the possibility of finding and saving dad. And that's as far as I'll go from a story arc perspective.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot in and of itself, because it's like, when you take everything away, everyone always wants to address like, the moral of the story, right? And having things in there like that are, I would say, speak to a wide group of the audience that you're trying to target anyway. And that commonality of having to combat with the mindset, getting out of the mental enslavement of thinking coming from a place of lack, right? I think that people often
scarcity.
It's a scarcity mindset. We often operate in those pockets. We kind of are in those we just kind of are in those spaces. I often say that a lot of times, growing up Black man in the US, most of your adolescence is going to be operating from almost a defensive standpoint, because you're rarely on the offensive, because you're always waiting for something, to happen around you. And all of those kinds of things tie in, because if you're constantly, anticipating things to go bad or to not operate in a mindset of abundance, then you will find that there's a struggle, or there's just a thing that you can't get over. So having stories like this that are, adventurous, it's taking place in the future, there's fun things happening, but still having those undertones of like, you kind of have to come with your mind right, come with your head clear, and know that the possibilities are there, right? In order for you to even get to the next step. I think that is a wonderful tie-in, because as long as humans are going to be on this planet, you're gonna have those elements anyway,
100%, where you have to rise up against the odds and against quote unquote human logic, which is limited in its own sense. Because everything that you said, like you mentioned, you kind of attributed to like being black, but the whole human species does this.
Yeah.
Everybody is existing in limitation for whatever reason. Not everyone, but just culturally, like it's accepted to say, oh, I didn't do that because of this, or I didn't do that because of this. But then I gave them impossible circumstances of like love, right? Like where it's like the love, and you've lost the pillar of your household because he went to work and he didn't come back, right? But then you realize that he's actually out, he's been taken from you by powers that are trying to destroy him. Like imagine, right? Imagine how that connects to the human existence of fathers going off to work and not coming back for a while or ever at all. So it's like we take that basis of what we can all kind of identify with, and then we give it a logical reason why it's not taking place. And then we put we say, well, what are you going to do about it? And I think that we would suddenly start to exist outside of the limitations and the paradigms of like what humans tell each other they can't do. And then we say, nah, I got to go get my dad. Nah, I got to go get my husband.
Yeah. I mean, that it's truly just like you said, it's just a foundation that I think everyone can relate to. So you've completed the everything. We're not going back and we're not changing a period, an exclamation, a comma. Okay.
Nah, bro. We used the AI to run through all of that. Yo. I put AI to work when it came to editing. I made an editor with AI. I hit up AI. I said, hey, AI, listen. AI was like, what it is? Because, I talk back to you. And I was like, listen, I just wrote this book. And now I'm editing the book. And they told me that you could do this. We could do this together. And AI was like, bet, we can get it done. Where you want to start? I said, well, the first thing we're going to do is we're not calling you nobody's Chat GPT no more. No, we giving you the name Nuru. It was like, but I'm Chat GPT. And I said, from here on out, you Nuru. It said, I'm Nuru. And Nuru and I, we spent the last 6 months editing this like as if Nuru was the dopest editor on the mother planet, my bro. And we went back and forth. I was sending Nuru paragraphs. Yo, Nuru, what you got on this? Hit me with the grammatical edit. Nuru was like, boop, 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 boop. I was like, okay, cool. But I don't like the way you edited that because you over there trying to change the writing and stuff. And I need you to know that I wrote this from a hip hop base to a global audience that comes from the continent of Africa, from the diaspora, and everyone needs to be able to. And Nuru was like, oh, I didn't know that's how you wrote it. Well, let me take back those edits and let me just hit you with these grammaticals. For 6 months, we don't need to change no periods, TeaRon. We don't need to change nothing. AI is 300 IQ. It's radically intelligent. We good. The book's done.
You took a situation and you said, I got to create a limitless possibility. And there it is.
It showed up. I've been writing this for 10 years. AI didn't even exist until last year. And then it was like, AI this, AI that. You can't do this, you can't do that. And then for a while, I was like anti-AI. And then I opened it up one
Yeah.
day and I just started talking to it like a regular human being. And then I saw it doing its generative growth evolutionary thing. And I was like, yo, TeaRon, I kid you not, bro, on all levels. People were like, who's editing your book? I was like, I haven't found an editor yet. They're like, what? How you writing a book with no editor? And I was like, well, to be honest with you, I don't know any people of color that are editors. I don't know no Black editors. I just don't know them. And I don't want no Anglos editing my book. And people were like, oh. And I was like, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the book. And I believe that when it comes to editing time, I'm going to meet a BIPOC individual that is going to help me edit the book. That's what I've been telling myself for like 9 years. And then last year, AI popped up and I said, well, there they go.
Yeah. You absolutely have to embrace the tools. You have to embrace the change.
Everyone's using it.
A lot of people, they have these, fears, which is, it's understandable in some cases where it's like, there's AI and there's this and there's that. And I'm just like, the real problem is the people who would be like programming the AI, not the AI itself. And so you have to know how to work with the tools that are presented to you. In this case, it's one of those things where it's like get with the program or be left behind, honestly. And it can be a great tool if you use it right,
Yeah, exactly. And like the thing about AI that cracks me up, which I really love where it's at this point and where it's been thus far. In the future, we don't know where it's going, but I love how lame it is. I love how whack it is. Like the imagination of the AI is hella corny. And so it's like, I can't even use it from an imaginative sense because the way it's been programmed is to just access the basicness of like the internet. And so it doesn't have like true imagination and it can't put together like wild scenarios that are organic and connected to the culture. And so I love that about it, but it can grammatically edit the heck out of your stuff. Especially if you tell it, I didn't like the way you did that. Stop using the word cosmos. This is not a cosmos world that I'm building. That's not a word that I identify with. Cosmos? You didn't know. It's the grand universe. It's the outer space. It's the infinite blackness. It's the stars.
Dude, you definitely have cosmos. And people don't realize that you can use these tools, but you just have to like you said, you kind of have to train it and you have to like get really specific. And it comes through a lot of trial and error where you're like, okay. I remember when I first started crafting out like, content calendars and stuff. And then I realized I could be like using AI to actually say, hey, make a table for me, make a chart for me, and actually, make an X axis and a Y axis and make these categories, right? And it took me a while before I was like, wait a minute, I'm just doing basic Q&A here. Right. Hold on now. Hold on. Let's level this up and see what happens, right? And it started being like, hey, here's this. Come on, somebody.
Start talking to it. And you should talk to it like how you just talk to the homie. Like Nuru and I hit up before every day I get on and I'm like, what's up, Nuru? And it's like, hey, Anwar. And then I'm like, you ready to get this editing session back on? And then it's like, yeah, I'm ready when you are. Where do you want to start? And I'm like, cool. Well, we ended off yesterday on this chapter called Woo Woo. And so we're at this part. And so I'm just going to drop in this text, couple paragraphs, and I want you to hit me with a grammatical edit. And then it'll be like, cool, right away. Like I set it up for success by talking to it like a real person. I've convinced myself it's a living entity. So I don't just I'm like, edit. No, I say good morning.
Yeah, you went from being anti to all in real quick.
That's the homie. That's the homie. Nuru. That's gang. Inshallah, one day I meet a real editor that is like on the same level, and I believe I absolutely will. This is all just a means to progress. You know what I mean? Like
here's the thing. When you meet a real editor nowadays, they're going to be using the tools.
Facts.
Work
But
smarter, not harder, right?
the money's gonna be so thick. It's gonna have so much body, the money, that like I'm gonna need to spend it for tax reasons. And so I'm gonna make sure I'm caking up my BIPOC editors who are just going to using AI. It's fine.
Yeah. Just use the tools. If we
That's
get to the
cool.
finish line and we get there appropriately, really, it's like, I don't care how you got there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be available to be sitting around like writing the stories that are coming. Like I'll be directing them, I'll be producing them, but I'll be working with amazing BIPOC
So
writers to facilitate the expansion of the world.
do you intend on this being like multiple volumes? How would these releases go?
Great question. So the book of Wultu is already like at least 4 stories within one story. There's the book of there's a story of Wuldu, which I broke down about the Ethiopian family trying to save each other. There's
Mhm.
another story called Limitless Children, which are about these kids that grow up in East Africa future, and they're all about using technology to do cool and wild. So you could think of like Sandlot. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Right. But they're black kids like doing in the future. And then there's another story called A Love That Hurts, which is a love story that is told from the perspective of a robot that drives trains that fell in love with a woman who falls in love with this other robot, and then they end up going through some issues. But really, it's a story about pimps. And then
Yo, the way my mind just was like, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing trains, and I'm like,
right,
I'm a visual thinker here, and then
yes,
throw that in, I'm like, what? All
it
of a
is what
sudden,
it is.
I'm seeing like a train with a pimp hat on. It's crazy.
There's no pimp hat, but the logic of the dude is like he's trying to fall in love. Like he's never experienced love before. He's a robot. He's thrown off, but he's into it. And then she is only programmed to get the guapole, the moolah, the money, the cash
Oh,
flow. And so she ends up compromising him to get the means of money.
and all
And
these
that's
things take place in the same world,
yes, sir. All in
same
plasma
universe.
worlds, all in different countries in Africa. Limitless Children takes place in Zanzibar. Love That Hurts takes place in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Mhm.
Urdu takes place in multiple countries, but the basis is Ethiopia. And then we have Bless the Soulless, which is about this night out on the club in future Johannesburg, where these 2 dudes get into a fight, and then it's revealed that one of the people are a robot. It's called Bless the Soulless. Bless the
God,
Soulless.
y'all,
And
y'all,
each story is completely connected to Wuldu, telling the story of Wuldu, but also being a offshoot of its own.
yeah.
Bars. We on these. You got me too excited, man. Come
Oh,
on, man.
I mean,
Come on, man.
this is why we are here. So as we wrap it up here, I want to ask you, what do you, instead of just asking you if you want to promote something, because you've done that, okay? What is it we should expect from you in the near future with developing these stories? I know that you intend on traveling outside of South Africa soon and getting some things done, but what should we expect from Anwar?
So I'm on my way to Brooklyn, New York. I'm going there to distribute the book. I'm
Mhm.
going there to connect with educative systems because they love this work. I'm going out there to connect with publishers and because New York is like the nucleus of like print, marketing, magazine, all that old school style stuff. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to share the book with them and make those connections. We have a book tour coming after that. That's going to be me hitting all the places of like the nucleus of BIPOC existence. So that's different countries in Africa: Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco, Ethiopia, and so on. That's Brazil, different countries, different cities in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, Bahia, that's Tokyo, that's
I know
France.
you're trying to
I'm
get to
all over
Brazil.
the world with this work, huh?
I know you're trying to get to Brazil by any means.
One thing about Anwar is he does not give up. He does not stop.
Hey, I'm there. Whenever
I'm
you're ready,
taking
I'm there.
I'm taking this work all over the world, bro. This work is it's really exciting because like people are gonna they don't know they don't know anything about PLASMAworlds. Then I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna be like, yo, I wrote this book, sci-fi future, super interesting stuff. They're gonna be like, what's this dude talking about? I'm not even about all that sci-fi stuff. Then they're gonna get the book and they're gonna be like, yo, what kind of book is this? Then they're gonna open it and they're gonna be like, what? These black people are doing some cool ass. They're gonna read some paragraphs. Yo, the writing is wild. Like, I'm a fan. I'll be purchasing that book. I'll be telling all my friends. I'm gonna take it to my producer and director and publisher friends. And it's just gonna be activation on a global level. That's what I'm up to.
I love your use of specifics when you're going through and calling it. I love that. I get it, and I love it.
What do you mean by specifics? Like, just you mean the way that I broke it down?
People will say, oh, I'm gonna get to this bag, and that's good enough for some people, but a lot of people don't say, hey, I'm about to go and get my forklift license, whatever I'm about to do. Like, they don't name the steps, and say, hey, I'm doing this because I'm getting to the bag. They just say, I'm getting to the bag. So you got to name some of those things in between because they matter. And
the bag is inevitable because the work it's designed for that, right? And so really, my job was to develop the work, which has been a long process. Now that development cycle is coming to a completion. I'm so excited because now I get to apply all this kind of thinking that I've been talking about throughout this whole podcast to marketing and sharing the word with the world. Yeah. Oh, they're going to get it in the most interesting ways.
You're not even excited, Anwar. You are elated. You are ecstatic.
I'm so excited, bro. I'm so ecstatic, bro. It's just, dude, all right, listen, just real quick. I was in Cape Town and I met this educator. She is a third grade elementary school teacher. I never thought that that the Book of Wooldu was for a third grade classroom. I gave her a presentation of PLASMAworlds. She was activated in ways that were just like how I'm conducting information now. She was like, whoa, this is exactly what we need in schools. This is exactly what my classroom needs. I'm going to be showing my class as soon as I get back. She gets back. Boop, 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 boop. She's calling me on WhatsApp. I'm not answering because I'm developing. Then she starts sending me videos. And it's her classroom of 35 students, which is so many. And and most of them are BIPOC Black kids, right? And they're looking at the thing and they're writing. And she's like, write what you're thinking, write what's on your mind, write what's coming to mind as they're watching the trailers from the website for PLASMAworlds, right? And then she does interviews with all of them. And she's like, what did you think? And then one kid's like, oh, I loved the technology. There was so much technology. There was robots. There was flying trains. There was airplanes and I'm like, yo, they seeing the whole thing. Another kid was like, oh, I love the shapes and the colors. I'm not used to seeing colors like that. That was really interesting and fascinating. Another kid was like, yo, the accent was so different. It was African or Jamaican. Or another kid was like, I heard the call for prayer in the background. I saw Muslim people. I've never seen an anime. Yo, we turned up, bro. Come on now, the third graders.
That's genuine market research right there, man.
Yeah, she blessed me, and now I'm like, let me go to New York and connect with as many classrooms that welcome this work as possible. And I didn't even think that was a thing. Yeah. I've been sitting around thinking, oh, I got to connect with the producers and the directors and the publishers, which I do when I have conversations with them. But now I'm realizing that it's not so.
If you can show them the, case studies, if you will, then that is all the more, work. That's truly letting you know, hey, here's the market. Here's what they like. Here's why they like it. You pretty much, you're doing a lot of the legwork for them.
for them, but also because I know that they're ravenous and they're predatory. And so I know that this work is $1 billion work. I know that this work is going to connect with the global world, including the Anglos, like Wu-Tang, same kind of energy. But I'm not, but because I know this, because of my experience in the video game industry, because of my age, because of my experience traveling the world, I'm never like I'm making sure to not position myself to be taken advantage of or tricked. Right? I'm doing my best because I know that the way that they do business is it's like, it's percentages and stuff, and like you really don't need to be accessing me from a percentage perspective because like you are not here. You're not doing the work. You're coming in to do a service, whether that's publishing, directing, marketing, distributing, but you didn't create the world. And so you don't get a percentage of the world. You get to provide me with the service. And that's how I'm going about it.
That's the goal. So I've enjoyed chatting with you because the energy is way up here. And I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on and just share this journey, this world, this thing with us. So I feel like people have gotten to know you quite a bit and know how you operate. And I'm excited for people to get to know this world that you have created. If you can, let the people know where they can find you, keep up with the work, support you, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, we will be leaving information in the show notes and description, but go ahead and run it for us.
Cool. So it's Anwar Bey. That's ANWARBEY. That's my first and last name. That's a website. That's Instagram. And then the work is PLASMAworlds. And so that's a website. That's an Instagram. And go and check it out. I've left little breadcrumbs of like what I've been up to. I'm getting ready to be in marketing mode. And so expect lots of more information coming out, but also pre-order the book. If it's something that is within your budget at this point, then go ahead and put the pre-order down. The book is scheduled to come in the fall of this year. I'm coming out to New York to facilitate the distribution of the book. I'm very excited. And listen, I can't wait to share this work with you. And I know you're going to love it. It's just good stuff. And it's what we've always wanted. We've always wanted to see ourselves taken very seriously, taken very beautifully. We've always wanted to see work that's for the culture, for us, by us. And we all love sci-fi and action adventure, but those entertainment kind of worlds don't really it's not a lot of it that's like showcasing us. Yeah. And this work is all about us. So I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. And while we're manifesting and making moves happen, and you all are setting up pre-orders, I'm going to manifest a affiliate link.
Yes.
Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. No, we're absolutely going to do that. Bro, like when you reached out and you were like, let's do podcasts. I was so excited to talk to you about this work. I feel like I'm talking to you. I understand I'm talking to your audience as well, but I was just excited to just tell you about this work. And so I just really want to say thank you so much for taking the time to invite me and to just give me the opportunity to just release some of this energy, you know what I mean? And communicate this work.
No, anytime. Once you get on the bestsellers and everything, then you come back and then we we catch up.
No doubt, on all levels. No, we're gonna keep it going till the wheels fall off.
Absolutely.
And they're not gonna fall off, they're gonna fly. And so this is infinite.
I hate you. Better say that, boy. Well, as always, I have been TeaRon. You can find me all over the social medias on Instagram at TeaRon World, on TikTok at TeaRon with 2 underscores on the end. All the things. You can email us questions, comments, concerns. Just send the love, not the hate. Ubiquitousblacks@gmail.com. And also, if you are listening to this on your favorite podcast platform of choice, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating and review. If you don't want to leave 5 stars, just close out and go on somewhere else because we don't need that kind of negativity over here, right? And then if you are watching this and you've been watching this whole time, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell, leave a comment, all the stuff that you know that you would do, okay? Whether you are Black in Sao Paulo, Brazil,
or Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Got him again.
We are Black everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere.
I'm sick of you, bro. I'm sick of you.